friends, could you please get your Journeys book? I'm going to read a story and I would like you to follow along. Before we start our story, I want you to turn to page 3. Some of us talked about this last week, but this thing right here at the beginning of our books is called a table of contents. It's kind of a silly name, but the table of contents job is to tell us what information, chapters, or stories are in this book and then what page those things begin on. So, if you're reading chapter books, you'll notice that most chapter books have a table of contents at the beginning. If you have a book that has more than one story, most of those books have the stories each listed and then the page number that they begin on. This is a student book, and so it has lots of information broken up into different categories. The purple writing right here are the stories that are in this book. And so last week we read the dot, and if I run my finger along these little dots right here, it tells me that the dot begins on page 14. I'm going to turn to page 14. Sure enough, the dot begins on page 14. This week we're going to read the story, What Can You Do? So let's see what page that begins on. It begins on page 50. So I'm going to turn to page 50, and I want you to turn to page 50 as well and follow along with me. Sure enough, there's page 50, and this is the beginning of our story that we're going to read this week. Before we start reading the story, though, I'm going to turn back 2 pages to page 46 and 47 so that we can look at our sight words that we're going to focus on this week. So these are the words to know or sight words. The words are blue that we're focusing on, and then I'm going to go ahead and read the words, but then I would like you to go back after the story and read the sentences that go along with each word with your adult or your older sibling or whoever is helping you today. So our words this week are different, near, enough, stories, high, always, once, happy. So we will see those words in our story that we're going to read. So the genre or the type of story this is an informational text. Informational texts give us facts about a topic. So when we're reading them, we'll notice that there's information and facts that are provided. And also, most of the time, informational texts have photographs instead of drawings. So in this situation, we do have photographs. We don't have an illustrator, but we have a photographer, somebody that took the pictures for the story. The title is What Can You Do? A book about discovering what you do well. The author, in this case, actually has 2. So the authors are Shelley Rotner and Sheila Kelly, and the photographer is Shelley Rotner as well. So Shelley both photographed pictures for the story and she helped write the story. So I'm going to read. I want you to please follow along. Actually, before we start, though, I forgot something super important that I want you to think about. It's this essential question right here. It says, why is it important to try your best? So I want you to pause this and talk to your adult about that question. Why is it important to try your best? I know a boy who can draw very well and a girl who can climb very high. We are all good at something. We're always learning new things as we get older. I like to swim and learned how to float. I had to practice. Once I learned, I felt like I could float for hours. My little brother is better on skis. He can ski much faster than I can. We're happy when we do something well, whatever that might be. Reading is easy for me, but math is much harder. I'd like to be better at math, though. I can't read very well yet. I wish I could. It can take a long time to be good at something. If we practice, things get easier and easier to do. So the more this little girl practices reading, the better and better she'll get. Marie knows how to spell, and Jill prints well. Jean is really good at anything that has to do with computers. I haven't discovered what I'm good at yet. Nathan writes funny stories about science. Some of the funniest ones are about a baby robot Beth likes to build. The biggest tower she ever built was taller than she is. I made the soccer team this year. I hope I play well enough to score a goal. I see lots of things in the park. I look near and far. Things look much closer through my binoculars. We all like to do what we do best. When things are hard, we need help to learn. We might say, I don't get it. We're good at different things. I feed the baby myself now. When she gets bigger, she will not need help. I can fix my brother's wagon. I'm younger than my brother, but I'm good at fixing things. I got my training wheels off earlier than I thought I would. I felt very proud. The kids made me captain of our team. That was one of the happiest days of my life. We have schoolwork, acting, singing, dancing, playing games, or sports. We all have something we do well. What can you do? Okay, friends. So, with your adult, I want you to discuss the dig deeper. Your adult can read this to you, and you can discuss pages 70 through, let's just do 71. And then after you go back and read this, after you read this, I want you to go back and review the sight words for the week. I want you and your adult to read through the sight words and the sentences that the sight words are used in. And then your second part of this assignment is to get a writing paper from your binder, and you're going to answer this question. At the very end of the story, our question was, what can you do? So I want you to write about something that you feel like you're good at. Maybe it's something that when you first started it, you weren't very good at, but you practiced and you didn't give up and you practiced and practiced and you tried your best and you got really good at it. So write 2 to 3 sentences about something that you can do well and draw a picture, please. Submit a picture of your finished writing.